So
Yeah.
different geography, different states have their own regulations, right? How you're coping with that. US is predominantly iOS driven market since the privacy policies of iOS, which started from iOS 14.1 version. You cannot track a lot of user specific data. In US, a lot of people just do the casino hoppings, right? So they are just doing one casino to another. I would just like to kill all those fraudsters, who are just coming and leading the experience of the right set of users.
Welcome to Flamcast, a space where we dive into everything mixed reality, marketing, AI, and the future of creating unforgettable brand experiences. Today we have Sandesh Gupta, Director of Growth at Mobile Premium League. He is an IIT Roorkee alumnus who has built his career from software engineering to entrepreneurship to digital marketing with companies like Infosys, Wakefit, and now MPL. Welcome to Flamcast, Sandesh. We are very delighted to have you with us today.
Thanks, Nidhi.
Sandesh, you had an incredible career arc from software to D2C and
Hmm.
now to gaming sector.
Right.
And gaming sector is not just a sector, it is a culture in itself, a
Hmm.
lifestyle per se. What drew you to this sector?
I think simple thing for me is the complexity in this sector because like if you're solving for D2C, like previously when I was in Wakefit, right? Yes, you're selling some goods, right? But when it comes to something like a gaming, right? Complexity increases multifolds basically, right? So one is the kind of channels you're operating before going to like channels and all. First thing is the regulations, right? So
Yeah.
different geography, different states have their own regulations, right? How you're coping with that. Then, you know, how you are figuring out the right set of users who can play different set of games, right? I think all this when it comes, I think the problem becomes very complex. The part that I generally take care of is the US market, which is iOS heavy. There again, with the restrictions in terms of privacy of the users, right? Apple has a lot of restrictions in terms of capturing the user data and everything. They have launched their own algorithm, which is Scan, right? Which passes very limited user information to the marketing channels.
Yeah.
So being into the ecosystem and figuring out, still, looking for the right set of users and running your performance marketing campaign to look for the right ROIs, I think makes things very complex and very look forward to every day. Okay, what I can do next, how I can further optimize and all that thing. So yeah, I think summarizing everything is it's very complex to
I'm sure
solve.
there is a lot of learning and unlearning that must have
Yes.
happened from coming from D2C to now a
Yeah.
gaming sector.
Right.
So, what are the key things that you feel is very absolute necessary for the gaming sector, which was not there in the earlier stint?
See, I think when it comes to gaming, I was not a gamer, I can say, right? So relating with that perspective is something that I have learned a lot, right?
Okay.
Uh, Very like rare times, I have played Ludo or Rummy kind of a games,
Hmm.
right, in an app. Mostly, even in my college, like I was not in that group that who has Counter Strike or GTA's every time, on the go.
Okay.
So yeah, like relating with that sector was the first thing which I found very difficult. But I think when you are a part of it, obviously you have to do it because you are into it now.
Hmm.
So I think there I have learned a lot of things, and you come from a understanding that the TG will look like this, the user will have something, and again, what you're giving to the user, right, is the experience or is the reward,
Hmm.
what they're liking most. And it is also very category specific and game specific, right? So those nuances you have to go like in very depth before starting or before learning anything. This is in terms of the gaming segment only, like the industry where I am currently operating in. But when it comes to geo, right, because I have run campaigns mostly for the India geography or maximum to, like, let's say Southeast Asian and all those things, right?
Okay.
When it comes to US, it's a very different geo, right? uh, like in India, average age group of a gamer, right, is generally a young age group, right?
Hmm.
Because they are mostly like 20 plus users who are coming and playing all these games. Contrary to that, in US, it's majorly middle age group.
40 plus.
Yes, 35 to 50 people
Okay.
who are like they have done a lot of things. They have disposable income, right? who just
Okay.
want fun and entertainment and excitement by playing games, right? And adding to this point, India, again, there is a slight tilted towards the rewards, what I'm going to get it after playing the games, right?
Okay.
When it comes to US, reward comes on a second thing, right? First thing is only experience, right? If you're giving me that adrenaline rush by playing something, and even if I'm winning losing, I don't care, right?
Hmm.
There are a lot of companies, like, okay, we are in real money gaming, okay, but there are a lot of companies in US who are in like free to play market, where they don't have the reward system to giving back to the users and everything.
Okay.
But they're also making a lot of in-app purchases, because users are just going like playing Candy Crush crazily, right? Just buying the lives, buying the coins and everything, just to ensure the avatars and everything, just to ensure that they are having a fun. So I think these are some very different things that I found about the US market, that this is because what you have seen in India, right? That like Jito 10 crore, Jito 2 crore, right? This is going on, this is going here, and all that thing. In US, this is not like that. They're more about, okay, what is there in the game? You have to show the gameplay in the ads, right?
So basically, you're saying that India market is more rewards driven, while the
Yes.
US market is more experience driven.
Experience driven, more fun driven. They need to experience that thing. Yes, they're getting some fun.
So, is MPL strategy or their positioning is different from India versus US because US is clearly
Yeah, yeah.
experience driven market.
So the games are also like that, right?
Okay.
Because the product itself has to be with what the geo wants, right?
Okay.
So if the geography is looking for something more, so it's not like that. As I said, rewards will be there because obviously you are in real money gaming. It's your core thing, right? You cannot,
But that's
remove
not the
that thing.
first thing that
That's not
consumer
the
looking
first thing.
for.
Yeah. So first thing itself is like, for example, the user comes into the app, right? The first time user experience is way different in US compared to in India,
Okay, so
right?
user journey is also
Very
different. The
different.
product offerings that you are
Very
doing in
different.
US is
Yes.
also very
See, for
different.
example, a lot of apps in India, right? What they will do, right? The moment you're logging in, right?
Hmm.
They're giving you upfront a lot of cash, right? In terms of their own economy, like
Yeah.
you call it, like bonus cash or whatever, so that you can start playing the game,
Yeah.
right? In US, yes, you can give it, but it's not compulsory. Even if you're removing it, it's also okay, right? So
Okay.
user is not in looking for that, as the time at the time I'm logging in, right? What reward I'm getting in,
Hmm.
right? Because in India that is must. If you're not giving it, user will not go and play, right?
Okay.
US is more about, fine, you're not giving me, I'm also okay,
Yeah,
right?
got it.
But if you're giving me the right experience, okay, for example, in US, bingo is the major game, right? Or the solitaire is the major game, right? You're giving me right upfront playing that game, I am done, right? They don't want any hindrance. Like, for example, in India, you ask for a lot of permissions. Can I send notification? Can I get your email ID? Can I get, and then you will say, okay, now you can go and play, because you
Hmm.
need that information to
To
monetize them
target
or to
and
target and a
yeah.
lot of things, right?
Yes.
US is like, no hindrance, go play. Even if you're not logged in, I'm okay,
Okay.
right? You can do that all the steps later, but first show me that experience, that what you have for me, basically.
So, just two questions that comes to my mind. One is from a marketing standpoint,
Hmm.
MPL is a brand which is very different. Like the experience is different in India versus, and the
Yeah,
positioning is also different.
yeah.
So there's no cohesive brand language that must be, or cohesive campaigns which will be targeted to India and US market will be completely different. Am I right?
Yes, you're definitely right over there. Also, I think the way we have built ourselves in India, right? Because it's been 6 years now, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of things have gone into building the brand and everything, right?
Hmm.
And India, it is also very important because there is a lot of other competitors who are there in the market, right? And you have to be there so that you are top of mind of users when they are playing and everything, right? So you have to spend a lot of amount on branding also, right? US, because we are building that business from the scratch, right? We are still not that a big brand over there, right? So yes, when it comes to cohesiveness, there it is not there, because you cannot do it. The TG and the kind of experience is very different,
Hmm.
uh, and also like the stages are also very different, right?
Hmm.
Because India operates something like, let's say, 100 to 1000 journey, right?
Hmm.
US is still in 0 to 1 or 1 to 10 journey,
Hmm.
right? So when it comes to startup also, like, there is a different set of stages of journeys
Absolutely.
as well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And what is required, what playbook is required, let's say, for India, is very different. The marketing budgets are very different for India, right? When it comes to US, obviously the budgets are very different. It is more ROI driven, right? More towards like what I can get in terms of getting the right set of users, quality of users. India, they already have a lot of user base, right? uh, so a lot of things they can do, and basically they can have a lot of predictiveness in the terms of behavior, user behavior. They know that okay, what will happen if they are launching something or if the new games will come in. They can do a lot of testing on the set of users they already have, right? US, everything you have to acquire first,
Yeah,
right?
so the learnings will be built only once you acquire and you
Yes,
understand the consumer.
yes,
Is
yes.
there a change in the monetization structure of MPL, India versus US?
Slightly, I would say, because the economy is like that, right? Because when it comes to dollar versus INR, right? So you have, uh, little better capability when it comes to US, right? You can have better offers to give to the user, and then you can look for their LTVs little later.
Yeah.
As I said, if user is liking your app in US, the churn you can control, right? And that can play a very pivotal role in terms of getting the right LTV, right? India is more about mass, right? Because obviously when it comes to acquiring of the user, India has very heavy in terms of the audiences that are there, right, compared to US. And since the audience size is so huge, obviously the CPMs and everything is quite lower in
Yeah.
India, right, compared to US. So the it all depends from the funnel itself, right? The acquisition costs are very different, right?
Hmm.
And their LTVs are very different, right?
Hmm.
And wherever like you have that kind of a gap, you can then have a very different economy that you can play in, basically, right? So in India it's more about massy thing that okay, even if you have a so in gaming we have lobbies, right, where you can go and play, right? Even a 1 rupee lobby can give you a good amount of, because the users are so huge, right? So it can generate a good amount of revenue. But in US, since the users are limited, you cannot afford having, let's say, a cents, like a 10-cent lobby or a 5-cent lobby. You cannot build business on that thing, so you have to think little on a higher side of things.
But even then, if the market grows for MPL, if the market
Hmm.
grows in US, there will be a larger pool of people that will be acquired.
Right, right.
So the monetization strategy, would it remain same? From strategy, I mean that MPL first is it's a gaming platform
Right.
which you can monetize also. There are reward system to it and
Hmm.
there's real money involved into
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So it's the same in US. The same thing that you're replicating in US as well. But here in India, you're taking a lot of data from the
True,
users
true.
as
Yeah.
well. And you're targeting them with ads.
Yes,
You are
yes.
targeting,
And we already have a lot of user base, so you have the first party data understanding as well, right? You know what
correct,
exactly you can look for, right?
correct,
So that is there, as I said, right? The stages are very different, right? At
from
present, the
the,
monetizations are also very different, right? But having said that, once we have that kind of a user base that we have in India, might be we can operate in the similar fashion. But right now, I think we
is
also
to,
treat very different these two geos, and
okay,
entirely the funnel from acquisition to monetization to the churn prevention, everything is different for India and Geo, right?
sure. I find that gaming kind of blurs the line between the product offering and content because you're
Hmm.
not just selling an offering, you're always in consumer attention span.
Right, right.
So, do you see marketing here is more retention driven than acquisition driven?
Uh, See, as per my understanding or running acquisition campaigns,
Hmm.
right? Uh, I think both are important, right? For US,
Hmm.
at least. Again, this question is very much stage dependent, right?
Okay.
So if you are in a growing stage, right, where you are building the business right from the scratch, you cannot just have retentions as your main key thing, because that is important, right? You
Yeah.
need to have your retention strategies in place, but you need new set of users to flow into the system, so that you can balance it out, you can have a better matchmakings, right? You can have a better
Hmm.
overall audience size to offer to a users, in terms of user who is coming and playing should not be like he has to wait a lot of seconds to start the game, right? So all these things are required, and that can cater only through the user acquisition thing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So you have to have both the things in parallel, right? This is for US, right? Even for India, I would say it's not like, because I have some understanding, it's not like that they're completely focusing on the retention side of things, because for every business, user acquisitions are very important, right? So it's like hand in hand strategy where you focus on both the things, right? You have your acquisition strategy in one place, as well as you cannot leave behind the retention part of the thing. So you have to work on retargeting, resurrection strategies from all your channels like CLMs, your push notification, and everything, so that you're bringing those users back. Because if they're not active on the app, obviously
Hmm.
you cannot monetize, basically.
There's a saying that customer acquisition is a leaky bucket. You will always acquire customer, but there is a
Yeah,
customer
always.
that will always
True, true.
uh,
Yes.
you
And
won't be
yes, the
able to
real
retain.
part will come from your retained users, right?
Yes,
Because they are old users, repeat users in every business, right? I've seen that the major value is from these users, but who are repeat users? These are the new users who will become repeat in some days,
absolutely.
right? So you cannot break that funnel of acquiring that users, because these are the only future repeat users for your business, basically.
Absolutely. As a
Yeah.
marketer, I feel that we are past the shock and awe effect and
Hmm.
we are more about usefulness and subtle storytelling.
Hmm.
Now, MPL operates in a very crowded market space.
Hmm.
How do you make your marketing stand out without making it feel overwhelmed to the consumers?
Hmm. Sure. No, I think, as I said, providing that experience from the first touch point is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Primarily, let's say if I'm even like it is now geography agnostic, right? So let's say you are targeting certain set of users for a certain category, right? And you know that's very cluttered, right? If you're just going and talking about the same thing, you come play on MPL, win this,
Yeah,
you are maybe getting some set of users, but generally it's a very noisy communication that the users are listening, or the
so,
consumers are listening on a very regular basis, right? So to stand apart, I think the formats play a very different role, right?
okay.
When it comes to gaming, video plays a very important role, right? And there is a new format also that is growing in both the geographies and across geographies for the gaming, is a playable or an interactive kind of an ad. This experience, if you're just providing on the ad platforms, right, user will just start interacting with it. They are like, okay, I'm playing something in the, and obviously user, when they're seeing videos and all, they are like accustomed to it. Okay, fine, there's some ad, it is coming, it will go, okay, and they will say download now, play now, whatever. But when they're interacting with something like this, right, they're finding it really valuable, right? And in the end, let's say because the way you have to look for that entire experience is, okay, they have played, but what reward they're getting out of it, right? Because ultimately you have to build that story from there as well, right?
Correct.
Your role is not over that, okay, you have given that experience. Ultimately you
Hmm.
have to acquire that user, right? So then you can, in a subtle manner, you can say that you played something for, let's say, 10 second, 30 second, and here is your reward for the same. And if you download right now, you'll get the same reward inside the app.
Moving on, MPL operates at a very niche space where
Hmm.
real money is involved.
Right.
What are the marketing challenges you face compared to a traditional gaming platform?
Hmm. No, I think first and foremost regulations, right? Like for example, as a marketer who is anywhere, like in India or in US as well, right? What are the top two channels when it comes? It's always Google,
Insta-
Meta, right?
Instagram and yeah,
Wait,
and Google,
Meta,
yeah,
Meta family and the Google
and
family,
Google
right?
family, yeah.
Okay, let's go start running ads on YouTube. Let's do this and that. You won't believe, in US I can't do Google. I can't do
Oh, you
anything on
can't
Google.
do?
No, it's highly regulated. Even I cannot put. Even in India now they have allowed to put certain categories on the Play Store. In US it is still not allowed. It is
Okay.
highly regulated. You cannot put anything, any a real money game on the Play Store.
So, what is the channel to reach out to the consumer? Is it through only communities?
No. So there are other channels. That
Okay.
also I learned when I started, running for the US business. So there is I think a lot of people have heard about the programmatic channels,
Yeah.
right? And it is very big when it comes to gaming, right?
Okay.
In like across wherever you are doing gaming, even in India, a lot of players are doing programmatic channels
Hmm.
apart from the regular Meta and Google ads. And that is where I think the majority of the things are happening in the US, primarily in the US market, because again, the key players over there, Meta you can still do with, even with the regulations, there are workarounds, or there are some strategy that Meta has suggested to run the campaigns on the Meta.
Hmm.
But since your major channel, which is Google, is not there, you have to divert, or you have to create a media strategy which involves a lot of programmatic
Hmm.
channels, right? And there are a lot of programmatic channels which are specific to gaming, because when it comes to gaming, there are uh, tools which helps you in building the games like Unity and all, and they have a lot of data of the user, or like a lot of understanding how you can target the user, right?
Now, speaking about growth in US, since you have gone to US and Nigeria market, how difficult and what are the challenges you face while growing a business in US, primarily in gaming sector?
Yeah. I think continuing from where I think I've started, regulations, right? So that again has a another challenge, because US is predominantly iOS driven market. Roughly 60-70% of the market is iOS users, right? And since the privacy policies of iOS, which started from iOS 14.1 version, you cannot track a lot of user specific data over there, right? So there are limitations with which you are getting a very limited set of
Hmm.
data when you're running any campaign on the iOS devices, right? But the way you can do, or the way we have done it in a hacky way, is that still, let's say 30-40% market is Android in US, right? You
Okay.
do a lot of experiments, lot of pilots, lot of cuts on the Android based user, right? Because there you're getting a lot of first party data,
Data.
right?
Okay.
You understand, okay, this is working, this cohort is working. Now you can put that cohort level targeting on your iOS things.
In your earlier role at WeekFit, you have used AR to help customers
Yeah.
visualize furniture in their living room.
Right, right.
So, before buying,
Yeah.
which is a great example of immersive experience. And we at Flam are also building immersive experiences for brands.
Right.
So, gaming, I feel being a part of a mixed reality tech company, I feel that gaming is a sector which has a lot of potential to unfold
Hmm.
and to unlock. So, what part of the gaming journey do you think MR can unlock powerfully?
Sure. I think again, coming back, I think experience, if you have to build, right, one format, as I mentioned about the playable ads, right, where you
Hmm.
are giving that interaction upfront, right, is one thing. But I think there is a lot of multiplayer games that is there into the ecosystem, right?
Okay.
uh, Even like bingo, if you play it, again a multiplayer, like you can play with multiple people. There are games like Uno, right, which again you would like to play with friends, right? And you have to bring that experience, right? It is not possible with a static ad or with a playable ad or with all these things, right? I believe this is one thing where I think no one has stepped into it, right? That, okay, how I can enable an experience when I can play, let's say, with my friend, right?
Hmm.
And still it is an ad,
Okay. Yeah.
right? But I can get that experience that someone is playing in front of me, like the example I mentioned about a rummy table, right?
Yes.
I can provide that experience. Okay, there is all glitteriness and everything, but still you are playing. You don't know who is in front of you, right? So I think that part, from the proper end-to-end experience perspective, from showing an ad, how you can create those ads where you can show some kind of a mixed reality or immersive experience where you can have some AI images of players who are just sitting in front of you, and they are, you can get that experience. Okay, I'm playing with some, against someone, right?
Yeah.
And inside the app also something on those lines, right? That like a lot of players are putting a QR code, right? And just by scanning, right, a table is there, right? And you saw that, okay, there are two three people sitting in front of you, and they're flipping the cards. I
Hmm.
think that just changed the entire thing, right?
Okay.
That part, I think, I believe is still untapped, right? Can be started from the ad side of things, like from the first touch point of the user,
Hmm.
and can also uh, be transferred or layered with the game experience that is there inside the app. I think lucrative thing for everyone.
If I give you a blank canvas
Sure.
to design a MR campaign for MPL,
Hmm. Hmm.
where would you start and how do you want the user to feel?
Hmm. Interesting question. I think the same example that I just said, right? uh, if I know that like in US, casinos are like very common, right? You can
Yeah.
just, it's like a hopping activity, like the in cafes you do that. In, I think, US, a lot of people just do the casino hoppings, right? So they are just doing one casino to another
Hmm.
casinos, right? Their experience is completely different, right? Once you are inside that zone, right, you like the entire thing about it, right?
Hmm.
Whatever it is happening inside that. A lot of games which are there on the platform, right, are also very similar, like the bingo. You can play bingo, you can play rummy and all those, gin rummy and all those things over there, right? uh, if I have to build something and it's a blank canvas, I think this experience I would like to definitely start first with, right? Because I think when it comes, right, the behavior of the user and everything, right, it's already there, right? It's there in their culture and everything, right? But whatever you will do, you cannot bring that experience inside one single app, right? So
Okay.
with with the mixed reality or with the immersive experience, if you can build something on those lines, I think that will be a game changer, according to me.
Okay. Uh, you also spoke about a lot of data, behavioral data that you have access to in India. However, you're struggling in US,
Right.
but you have figured out some ways to get some cohorts where you can tap into the behavior data of
Right.
consumer. Now, how do you personalize experiences for
Hmm.
consumer
Right.
without making them feel washed?
So I think primarily, I think the way we are doing it is very simple,
Hmm.
right? Because when it comes to personalization, I think it's again a very complex problem. People think that you can do 10 things and then things just go haywire, and you don't know whether it is working or not, right?
Yeah.
If I'm looking, let's say, if I'm able to find a cohort which is, let's say, a bingo cohort, right? If I'm targeting that cohort, now my first thing is that the ad should also talk about the same thing, right?
Hmm.
So that is a very simple way of personalizing my ad. Second cohort could be like, okay, I know this is a card cohort. In US, again, Jinrami and spades are very big in terms of the card category, right?
Hmm.
So if I am able to figure it out, okay, this is the cohort who has some intent towards playing card or playing spades or Jinrami, showing the directly changing my ads from that behavior from bingo to this. This is the first thing, right? Now these users are seeing something, right, and then coming inside the app. This also where I've seen a, again, I think before that there is a touch point where you have to go either on a play store or on a web, right, to
Yeah.
download things.
Yes.
There also you need to maintain that personalization thing. It should not be like, okay, you are showing them a bingo ad or a Jinrami ad, they're landing on a home page. Third, which is very important, when they're installing the app,
Hmm.
when they're downloading or the when they're doing the logging in,
Yeah.
what kind of game you are giving them as a first game. So
Yeah.
there you need to pass, again, with the help of all the martech tech stack that we have,
Hmm.
we are changing the first game user experience depending upon the categories where we are acquiring the user. That is the first simple thing. Second is the kind of rewards, because obviously if a user is a casual user, casual gamer, right, the rewards generally are on a lower side. When it comes to a card category user, the reward, because the stakes are also like that, right?
Got it.
So those things then you personalize, right? And this is where we have started our personalized text, right, where we doing a lot of personalization primarily on the journey of the user, uh, from the ads, then when it comes to the landing, and then when they're inside the app, what experience I can give with respect to that cohort that I'm bringing.
And now we are shifting to a flamfire question where I will
Okay.
ask you a set of questions and you can answer in one line or a word,
Sure.
whatever works. In one sentence, how do you think mixed reality will transform gaming marketing in next 5 years?
I think it will be something which is untapped and definitely going to be very big in terms of marketing, in
Okay.
terms of primarily for the gaming sector.
Okay. If MPL had a superpower that would change the gaming world, what would
Hmm.
it be?
Okay, interesting one. I think I would just like to kill all those fraudsters, who are just coming and needing the experience of the right set of users, right? Because that is something you don't want, to happen to any of your user basically.
Okay, it's a bad experience
It's very
basically.
bad experience, right? Like you are primarily looking that, okay, I'm playing with a legit user, but ultimately, this comes out to be, some, bot or something like that, right? We, like, as a MPL, we always have this thing that, there is no bot. We are always like, the real, users as a gamers, right? But there are a lot of companies who are doing that. So if I have that superpower, I would just go and, I think, kill those things.
Okay. People say that having a large user base automatically ensures success.
Hmm.
What's the biggest myth you have encountered about user acquisition?
I think this itself is the biggest myth, because large user base also gives you large responsibilities, right? With multiple things, right? You need to first maintain that kind of a base on a regular basis, because people will have that habit of seeing DAOs on a daily basis, that I need those daily active users to be active on the app.
Hmm.
uh, Second is how you can maintain the privacy of those users. Third is keeping those users safe from the fraudster. So I think it's not easy. In a single sentence, if I have to summarize, it brings a lot of responsibility on your shoulder basically. So you have to fill in those things if you have a large user base as well.
If you have to attribute your career success to one key factor, what would
Hmm.
that be?
I think for me, my software background, I would say, is the game changer for me, right?
Okay.
Because in marketing, I think primarily when it comes to performance marketing, right, you need to deal with a lot of martech tech stacks, right? That how you can attribute things, how you can basically pass on the data, how you can create that experience, and you need to work very closely with your tech folks, right?
Hmm.
People who have slightly limited understanding about how things work in tech. I have seen that those people have faced, or generally struggled in terms of solving those things, right?
Got
For
it.
me, since I've done the coding, I can talk to him in a coding language saying that, boss, do this for me, right? So
Got it.
I think this is personally, I've seen that has always helped me when it comes to meta, solving anything, solving any API, providing any event data to any apps flyer or branch or any other MMP, right? So those things I really found little easier because I have that understanding how these things works, and has always helped me basically.
Very nice. Now I'm going to say three statements. Please tell me there are two true statements and one lie.
Okay.
Walmart is the largest private employer in the world with 2 million employees globally.
Okay.
The average person sees over 1,000 plus, 10,000 plus ads in a day.
Okay.
The average American household owns 7.2 streaming subscription across platforms like Netflix, Amazon, Disney, so on.
So there are two truths and one lie, right?
Yeah.
I think it should be second one. 10,000 ads per day looks, I don't know. Is
It is,
it?
yeah, that is the lie. It is around 7,000.
Okay.
On an
Yes.
average, we see around 5 to 7,
Yeah,
7,000
because I
ads in a
understand
day.
about the last one, which is the US. Yes, they are very
Into the
content. Yes, very heavy. And yes, Walmart definitely. It's a big
company.
giant.
And
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you so much. It
sure.
was really good to have you here today. Thank you so
Thanks, Nidhi.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. We have more such episodes coming up. Stay tuned.